Anyway, what time is it?
Girl, it is time to ask
your
auntie.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna have a dream about like
We're gonna have to do
tonight.
We're gonna have to have a part 2 because now I'm gonna like start recalling some shit that I haven't even thought about in so long.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
okay,
man.
so this one, this is from Anonymous. My boyfriend and I have been in a secret relationship without labels for 3 years already, and that was just. Oh, excuse me. And just 6 months ago, we agreed to make it official and come out to some of our friends. Recently, it's all been going well. Recently, he's started to become more open and has started sending me pictures of hot guys. He'd also send me links of gay porn that he enjoys. It's making me insecure, even though I know that he's admiring them and he's not acting on it. So my question for my aunties is, should I be insecure, or is this something that gay couples do, talk about, fantasize about other guys? I've already told him that it kind of makes me insecure, but he told me that he can't shut down his sexual side and he's just being gay. He also explained that it's better that he sends it to me rather than talking about it to somebody else.
Ooh, that's a lot to unpack.
So, in a nutshell, should this person feel insecure about his boyfriend sending him pictures and links to gay porn?
I mean, I definitely think there's something there to unpack. You know, I definitely think there's something there to unpack. And it could be that, you know, there's something, maybe there's just something within yourself that the other people have that you don't have, and that may make you uncomfortable, you know? Or it simply could be, it's just not your cup of tea. But I think you need to figure that out first before you then ask someone else to change. Because if you figured out whether, you know, if that's something you like or not, then you know whether or not it's something that you're going to accept. You know, because I think it becomes a preference thing, because some people in their relationships share photos, you know, and watch porn together and stuff like that, and some don't. It doesn't make it right or wrong, but you need to figure out first if that's something that you can tolerate or not, you know, because I don't think it's fair for you to tell your partner, hey, don't do that, because it's okay if that's something that he's into. You shouldn't shame your partner for being into something that you're not into. You know, you have to have,
and it's okay to leave that situation if it is bothering you as well.
Exactly. And that was going to be my follow-up. Like, if that's something that you just can't get behind, then you need to make that tough decision to then be like, then I can't do this. But to do the ultimatum, I think is kind of fucked up to do. Either because then you're asking that person to change who they are for you. And it's like, in the same breath, if you can ask your partner to change for you, you should be willing to change what is within you for them too. So it goes both ways, you know? But I mean, for us, like, I mean, Fizz and I don't share a lot, but I mean, like, if we see someone on Instagram, like, damn, this person's hot, you know? Absolutely. You know, we're watching a TV show and I'm like, daddy can get
motherfucker can get it.
You know, like, that's cool. You know, like, yeah, we'll absolutely do that. That doesn't mean that we don't love each other any less, or we don't find each other, you know, hot. But the truth of the fact is, beauty is all about the eye of the beholder, you know, and it can come in many different forms. It doesn't even have to be a physical thing. It could be, you know, just how they carry themselves. You know, a confidence. That's one. I mean, a confident person is really sexy to me, and that could be. Doesn't matter how tall, short, big, thin, color, whatever. And I'll still be like,
damn,
that's swag. Yeah, you know, there's something just about that swag. Yeah. Like, damn, guys, I don't care. Your face is butchered, but you can butcher this booty hole. You know, like, you know, I'm just saying, like,
Betty the Butcher.
Okay. You know, so I think it really just depends on the individual, and it's okay whether you're into it or not, but it's not okay to judge someone for whether they are or not. That's where I think you should draw the line.
Yeah. Like, I think you nailed it. Like, you need to figure out why it's making you insecure. Do you think it means he's going to cheat on you, this and that, whatever? And then you need to unpack why you think that. Like, because like, and I get that energy, especially if it's a newer relationship. You don't want to feel like he's coveting someone else besides you or more than you. And I get that feeling. I was probably similar to that maybe at the beginning of like Corey and I, because it's just like, okay, I think I found someone that I really see a future with and things like that. I don't want him really saying, oh, look at that hot guy right now. Like, we just been dating 6 months. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Kind of thing. But what I found as I grew was like that had a lot more to do with what I was dealing with than even with Corey, you know? So I think you need to unpack why you feel insecure in that moment. Then if it's just a sake of you think it's like a respect thing and things like that, you need to communicate that. And if that's your button, if that's your line, then you need to make your mind up and say, that's my line. I need to get out of this because I don't feel like I'm going to be my complete self now. And that's okay. It doesn't mean it's not going to hurt. Doesn't mean you might shed some tears and things like that. But if that's your line, it's okay for that to be your line. But you need to communicate that to him. And if he can't do that, if that's not what he wants, then he might step away, you know, and that's okay for him because he's doing what's working for him. And once you kind of get to that maturity, which it takes some years, it takes some situations and things like that, then you can like start living and start really having some strong relationships because you're communicating what's making you tick, what's not making you tick, what you think is hot, what's not hot, why you think that dude's hot. Maybe we could do a little role play in the room, you know, whatever. And get seriously, or bring him home from the grocery store. I don't know, but whatever. I think you need to have those conversations, and it might ebb and flow over time as well. You know, and that's another thing is like how you felt 8, 9, 10 years ago might be different than how you're feeling today, but you still need to have the respect for your significant other to have these conversations of where you're feeling. So I think that's where you need to kind of start is like, A, unpack why you feel insecure. B, if you're stating that, let me see, did he tell him that he's insecure? I don't think he said
he did say that.
Oh, did he?
Okay. He said, but he's like, his partner said, I can't shut down my sexual side. I'm just being gay.
So part of that like seems like a little inconsiderate. It's just like, I mean, hopefully he said, okay, let's sit down and talk about it. If that was his first response, maybe that isn't the right one for you because that seems a little insensitive. But
and also that's not just being gay.
No, it's not just being gay. That's every human being on earth. But I, for me, Corey and I, like, especially at this point, we're coming up to almost damn near 9 years together. I'm well secure with myself and what I bring to a relationship and everything in my body and my being. But I also know there's other very attractive human beings in this world, you know? And it has nothing to do with me. It does not make me insecure. So if he thinks he's hot, I'm probably going to be like, yeah, he is. Show is. Look at that booty. Damn. Okay. You know? So, but I think that's after years of knowing to communicate, knowing what we want in our relationship and things like that. So I see both sides of it. I was like, I've been on this side of this question, but now dealing with my own self and my insecurities and why it's making me insecure and unpacking that leads me to the path of saying that has nothing to do with me. Like, there's nothing for me to be insecure about if you're cool with yourself.
Yeah, I tend to agree. It seems to me like this situation is one of those like really young couples, you know, that are just finding, you know, their way through just being an adult and having more complex relationships. But I also blame heterosexuality on this. I do, because I feel like this heteronormality that, see, I'm giving y'all a whole bunch of words today, just FYI.
You sure are.
I'm sprinkling them through.
That's a divine word.
But like, I do feel like we have some really just fucked up ideas around what relationships are supposed to look like. Instead of just existing and being present and being wholly oneself in the relationship and find out whether that works. It's like and I've done this myself. We bring all of this extra expectation around what a relationship is supposed to look like and measure success of relationship against our expectation. And a lot of times those expectations are not realistic, you know? And I just feel like there is that dynamic that's happening. You know, there's a little bit of like that, they said they've been, unofficial for 3 years and they just became official, 6 months ago. So there's like that we need to figure this out for ourselves kind of thing going, that dynamic. But then there's also like this, this like, well, what should a relationship be like kind of dynamic? And that's perhaps where some of this insecurity is coming from. I can't tell you whether to feel insecure or not. I mean, that's really going to be on you, boo. But what I would tell you is, like, it's not necessarily a bad thing, like the idea of like sharing, like glances or looks or links to porn or whatever with your partner, that doesn't necessarily have to mean, that you should be less secure in your relationship, unless there are other things that are happening that are leading you to believe that are fortifying the idea that you should be insecure, right? So if it's just these kinds of things, that's something you can work through. But if there are other things that are happening, like, just the fact of, you've never had a relationship before, this is really your first relationship, I'm assuming this is your first relationship, you're looking for a sense of security with your man or with your boo or with whomever, and you're not getting that, that might be your baggage that you're bringing to the relationship that may not have anything to do with him or what he's doing, so.
I was just gonna say something, and I know Carell know this song for sure, but it just reminds me of Jasmine Sullivan's "Insecure." Like this whole
it's been in my head this whole conversation
this whole time.
So insecure. And then I was doing the insecure challenge run. And the updated one that she did in her new live shit. Woo.
Yeah. This whole situation reminded me of that song.
It is. It is, absolutely.
And it's thinking about that song and thinking about this question is we have to unpack and we got to ask ourselves those questions, because it could be also you self-sabotaging something good, because you are putting these fears into, you're manifesting these fears out of nothing. You're creating a burden for you to carry that doesn't even need to be carried, lifted, or even thought about,
I remember never mind.
Okay, that's like twice in like a couple of weeks that she's done that. She's like, oh, hold on.
I just telling my whole like bibliography.
Same here.
That's another one.
I can't be the only one.
I remember there was a guy that I liked for a really long time, and it was wild because we were always ships crossing in the night. I was in a relationship, and then he was interested in me. I was in a relationship. I was interested in him, back, but I was in a relationship. And then when I wasn't in a relationship, he was in another relationship. And then, finally, we were both single, we both connected. And it was like, this was like the summer we were going to make it happen. I remember it. Like, it was iconic. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. And I remember we went out, got stupid drunk on cappuccino martinis. Ooh. Oh my gosh, got stupid drunk. I mean, just
was it at Marty's?
No, this wasn't in Chicago.
It was before Chicago.
But got stupid drunk, went out like dancing and went to bars and bar hopped and blah, blah, blah. Went back to his place or whatever, had crazy sex and whatnot. And then I remember after, as we were laying in bed, I remember him saying to me, we should do a threesome. And I broke up with him right there. And for me, it was less about the idea of doing a threesome, but like, it was so new what we were doing. And we had been like these ships crossing in the night. Like, I just wanted to be on solid ground. I wanted to know that this was real. And we had already had some conversations earlier about like, how do we, deepen, our connection? Like, are you able to have, really deep conversations? Yeah. So there was a little bit of like, hesitancy on that part, because he came out of a long-term relationship and But, I just remember that. I was like, we've been having so much fun this entire summer. And, like just starting to build a foundation for something that could be like really, really real, like lifelong real. And then you're going to ask me and I'm a Leo. So it's like, it only takes one thing to be like, nope, it's a wrap. It was a wrap. It was done.
Because you do want to feel like, especially beginning of relationships, you want to feel like you're the one that's coveted and that they have your eyes on it. So I get this question for sure. That's what it feels like. If you feel like you might not have gotten the attention that you want quite yet from your boyfriend, that he's not only looking at you like, damn, my boyfriend's hot, I want to fuck him, and you know. So I get that energy. But if you're not having those conversations up front and dealing why you want that, if it's because of some ideal situation or whatever, or some insecurity of not feeling wanted ever in your life, you're going to have to unpack that way before this shit, because that's always going to be there. And if you don't deal with it, like Jarrell said, you're going to sabotage this relationship. You're going to sabotage the next relationship. You're going to sabotage every other relationship because you haven't dealt with your shit yet. So that's the thing. And so it's like, we're not minimizing the guy looking at other shit and whatever, but it sounds like he's sending them to you, wants to kind of build that relationship with you and things like that, and confiding in you. Then okay, deal with that, and you just need to unpack the shit and go to therapy, whatever you got to do to get this shit right, because it's going to rear its head again.
Yeah, I can't agree with that more. Yep.
So continue to send your questions. That's a good one. Send your question to aya@minorietyreport.com or DM us. Send us some new ones. It's a new year, 2021. If you got some new shit popping off, let us know. It doesn't have to be relationship-wise either. Like, I think a lot of times we do so many relationship ones because that's what we get. But it could be, like, I know we have a couple coming up here in the queue that are just completely different than this, but are conversations we need to have on here. So whatever you find interesting, email us, aya@minorietyreport.com.